Welcome to Series 3, Episode 12 of the In Her Financial Shoes podcast. Welcome to the In Her Financial Shoes podcast with me, Catherine Morgan, founder of The Money Panel, helping you learn the small behavioural and practical steps to take towards being financially resilient. Listen in each week where we talk about that taboo subject of money. Listen to real life stories, step into our guest's shoes and be left feeling 100% confident and in control. Oh, and we hate financial jargon, so don't expect any here. Small steps, big wins, let's go. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. So in today's episode, I wanted to tackle one of the most common struggles for female entrepreneurs running their own businesses, which is how to manage your time better when you're running a business. So as a woman in business, I know that you want to manage your time more effectively in order to make more money. Or perhaps it's because you want a better work-life balance so that you can spend more of your time with your family. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. If only I had more time. Now, I totally 100% get this. I often run around my house looking for that magic little fairy to appear in the corner and help me tidy after the kids or wash up the dishes or go and post on my social media channels 3 times a day, or go and record this podcast episode, or go and run this group program. Like, I totally get it. But here's the thing. We all have exactly the same amount of time in a day. Oprah Winfrey, Brené Brown, we all have the same amount of time as you. So when we say it out loud, I don't have time, really it's kind of like a smokescreen. It's a sentence that you're telling yourself that you're hiding behind. Now, we say it a lot, don't we? Like, we catch up with people, I just haven't had time to do this, or I haven't got time to do that. I haven't got time to go and write another blog. I haven't got time to go and see my gran. I haven't got time to go and sort out that ever-growing wardrobe. But actually what we're really saying is it just isn't important enough to me right now. So by saying I don't have time, you're saying it isn't important to me right now. It's not important enough to me right now. And that is totally okay, right? If you've got other important things going on right now, like maybe your health needs some focus, then, health is absolutely way more important for you to focus on than anything else. So that's absolutely okay for whatever it is that you're saying you don't have time to do right now. But maybe you know that you want to do that one thing right now, but you're still telling yourself, I don't have time. And often that can be driven by fear. Maybe fear is holding you back from doing that one thing. And I get it. We all suffer from imposter syndrome, that feeling of not being worthy or not being good enough. I was talking yesterday to a mastermind circle. I held a face-to-face mastermind day in London with a group of 8 of my Money Circle ambassadors. And we were talking about like course junkies. How many of us buy another course or another program because we believe that we're not good enough until we've bought another course or another program. And you kind of get into this like cycle of just being a course junkie. And that may be because there's some fear there that you're not feeling good enough about whatever it is that you're wanting to learn about. And by buying that one more course or one more program, that's going to be the one thing that's going to help you. And more often than not, it's not. It's actually about believing in yourself and having some confidence. So if you're a course junkie right now, email me. I will hold you accountable to not buying any more courses. Of course, if it's going to provide value to you, then that's different. I mean, I'm a huge believer in personal development. I never stop learning. But there are times when you have to think, if I just need to go and do this one thing, I just need to get started and just bloody do it. Like, even if it's not perfect, just get going with it. Because actually, if you allow fear to hold you back, then that fear is always going to hold you back. Now, it may be that fear is attached to how other people may think, what other people may think of you. So maybe your fear is what people will think. And I tell you what, from personal experience, people will judge you no matter what you do. So much better for them to judge you for your successes or your, things that you've tried than actually not try at all. Because you're going to beat yourself up far more if you don't give it a go. Now, the other challenge is that often we we find it difficult to prioritize because everything is important, right? We have this massive to-do list, we've got post-it notes all over the house, and everything is a priority. Now, our money journey is all about progress. Small steps, big wins, right? So on a practical level, it's about getting focus, direction, and leveraging your time because time equals money. Now, I know that you all love a good Post-it note and a Sharpie pen. Maybe you have a drawer full of notepads or you're a stationery addict. But are your to-do lists actually generating you profit or just making you feel burnt out and overwhelmed? So on a real practical level, how do you plan your time and your to-do lists? So let me share with you a simple exercise that I do myself every Sunday morning. I really look forward to this, in my pajamas, in bed with a cup of tea, just 30 minutes of real focus time. And you know that feeling sometimes when you wake up and you feel really overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I've got so much to do. I don't have enough time. You're saying that out to yourself or internally to yourself. This exercise will really, really help you. I've actually created a handy little checklist for you, which you can download and print off. So head over to themoneypanel.co.uk and head over to either the podcast link or the blog link or click into the show notes if you're listening to this on the podcast, and you'll find that download available for you to grab and print off. Now, let me talk you through how I use this. So every Sunday, I find 30 minutes to myself. As I say, I grab a cup of tea, maybe a bit of breakfast, and I jump into bed. And I just spend 30 minutes focusing on 4 areas. So number 1 is wins. So what you want to do is have a look back at your week and write down absolutely everything that you have achieved that week. I don't care whether it's washing up, walking the dog, recording a podcast, gaining a client, doing a Facebook Live and putting yourself out there, whatever it is that you have done that you've wanted to do and have achieved, write it down that list. Number 1, that's the wins. Number 2 is challenges. Like what's got in your way that week? Have you got in your way? Has somebody else got in your way? Has an emergency come up that's meant you've had to drop everything and go and pick your kids up from school? Maybe one of them's been poorly. What's come up in your way? That's number 2. Number 3 is lessons. What have you learned about yourself that week? So one of the things I quite like doing sometimes is I write down what I've learned about myself, and then I go and find some kind of inspirational quote, and I'll save it on my phone as a screensaver for that week. And it just reminds me, what lesson did I learn last week about myself? So that's, so you can visualize that if it's going to help you. So last week, I actually wrote a social media post out on Facebook about what I'd learned over the 6-month sales and marketing mastermind that I've been in with Rob Moore. And there was actually quite a few things that I'd written down there that I'd learned about myself. Now, obviously, this was over a 6-month period. So, there was lots of other learnings in here too. But I took this straight from my journal, and one of the things that I reflected on over that period is I looked at what were my wins, what were my challenges, what lessons had I learned, and then the fourth one, which I'm going to come on to, is what intentions I had for the next week ahead. So when I was writing down my lessons from my sales and marketing mastermind, what I wrote down was people judge you anyway, so it may as well be when you're trying rather than not trying. You have to learn to let go in order to grow. Continuously push yourself, never stop learning. Contrast but don't compare. Like I massively, over the last 6 months, learn it's about looking at what other people are doing who may be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ahead of what you're doing, but don't compare yourself to them. Use them as kind of power you to think, wow, that's amazing what they've achieved. I wonder, how can I achieve the things that I want to achieve in my business and in my life? So contrast but don't compare. Look at where others have started who are 5 years ahead of you. Don't fret over copycats. Take it as a compliment. They aren't you. Make decisions when you want to procrastinate. Any decision is better than no decision because it's time for you. Tweak and go again. So one of the things I've really learned in the last 6 months is just try something, then try it again and tweak it, then try it again and tweak it again. It's just about progression and progress. I also learned that challenges are there to make you stronger, to help you to grow. If you've got stuff going on in your life right now, use the pain to help you grow. use it to write about things, use it to communicate with your clients, use it to fuel you to just get out of bed and smash through the day. Like, I know it sounds like a bit masculine, like smash through the day, you know, get a hammer and smash through the day. But sometimes it is about just being really focused and using all of that pain to just like fuel you forwards. Share your story. Like, people want to hear your story. People want to see some vulnerability, because actually it's in times of vulnerability that you learn the most about yourself. So get vulnerable, get valuable, and get visible. Get vulnerable with your audience, get valuable with what you're offering, and get visible. Get yourself out there. Get yourself on Facebook Lives, get yourself on LinkedIn, get yourself out on Twitter, wherever it is that you want to hang out. Get visible, get valuable, and get vulnerable. So those are some of the reflections that I had over that 6-month period of working in the sales and marketing mastermind. And then I kind of looked at all of my wins. So I'd grow my social media audience by 86%. I'd 3 times my monthly income. I'd 4.5% increase my balance sheet. I'd 15 times my speaker income. I've now created 5 semi-passive income streams. All of these things that I've created over the last 6 months of being in a sales and marketing mastermind. When I look at that, I'm like, wow, I've come a long way in 6 months. But actually, sometimes I wake up and think, gosh, what have I actually achieved recently? Or because you don't feel like you're achieving very much, because it can be very overwhelming when you're running a business by yourself. So make sure that on a week-by-week basis, you're looking at your wins, writing everything out, writing out what's got in your way. Some of those challenges you'll be able to control, and some of them you won't. So thinking about which of those challenges are just going to happen and continue, and you can't do anything about them, don't put the focus on those. Focus on the things that you can do something about. And that could just be a little step. It could be that right now, maybe you're trying to put together a landing page and you're really struggling with that, and that's got in your way this week. So one of the things you could do is that could continue to be a challenge for next week, or you go and outsource that and find someone that can do that for you, that loves to do sales pages, that can free up maybe 2 hours of your time to go and do something else in your business. So that's challenges. Look at your lessons. What did you learn? And then the 4th one is intentions for the week ahead. So what are you going to commit to for the next week ahead? So look at your to-do list, look at your post-it notes, and prioritize that list. Think about what absolutely 100% has to be done. What's going to make me progress? What's going to bring me cash flow into my business? What's going to make me happy? What's going to, if the focus is on your health, for example, then absolutely that's your number 1 priority. And only you can do that. Nobody else can do that for you, because I might look at your list and think, well, I think that should be a priority, but for you, it might be something else. So it's, what do you want to focus and prioritize? And then it's kind of about getting some accountability. So often what I do is I take those 4 quadrants. So if you've downloaded this checklist right now, you take those 4 quadrants, you look at your intentions for the week ahead, and you go and find somebody that can hold you accountable. Now, we do this in the Money Circle. We on a monthly basis and on a weekly basis, we put a post up in the group, and we get everyone to put what their focus is, and then we go and find ourselves an accountability buddy. And I think that's really important, because if you're somebody who suffers with all good intentions and doesn't do the follow through, that can be because you need some accountability. Now, I'm a big believer in actually holding yourself accountable, because it's very easy to go and find somebody else, but actually if it's an intention that you really want to achieve, then you shouldn't really need anybody else to hold you accountable. But I do understand that when you're running a business by yourself, if you're running a business from home in particular, it can get a little bit lonely sometimes. And often I think that if you've got somebody that you can buddy up with to just talk to, it can make the biggest difference. For those of you who have ever come across an app called Marco Polo, like, oh my gosh, it's completely revolutionized my communication with a couple of my business besties. So literally on a day-by-day basis, I'd probably go into Marco Polo, 3 or 4 times a day, and I talk to my business besties about what are the challenges for me that week, what do I need help with, how can I help them? What can they hold me accountable to? It's just one of the ways I've found that works really, really well, because I work from home. So, I don't get lonely from home. I'm not, I quite like my own company, actually. And I do a lot of video coaching. So I kind of feel like I've got people sitting in my office with me anyway. But if you do struggle with that, then think about, who do you have in your boat supporting you? Who do you have in your network that you can reach out to for support? I think that's really, really important, particularly when you're in business. So going back to this, easy ways to manage your time, these are the things to get really, really clear on every single week. What are your wins? What are your challenges? What are the lessons? And what are your intentions for the week ahead? You've been listening to Catherine Morgan's In Her Financial Shoes podcast. If you enjoyed this show, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes. And don't forget, if you're feeling stuck and overwhelmed and want to learn more about being financially resilient, confident and in control, head over to www.catherinemorgan.com.